JD Vance has done it again with anti-female rhetoric that is deplorable. Kamala Harris has the receipts, and I have a confession to make coming up next. The breaking story is an unearthed JD Vance video that was just posted by Kamala Harris HQ, an official X account for the Kamala Harris campaign, that further reveals he's the perfect partner for Trump and the worst VP pick in modern history, and I'll share that in a minute, but first my confession. When I first heard about the JD Vance Childless cat lady quote, I cut him a sliver of slack thinking he made a joke that went sideways, but when I saw the video that included the word miserable, I realized, oh, this is who that guy is. And today's video shared by Harris solidifies his position on the Mount Rushmore of MAGA misogynists. For context, the unearthed video Harris shared is from an interview when then Senate candidate Vance appeared on the American Moment podcast 2 years ago. My report begins with one of the show hosts signaling to Vance that, hey, this is a safe space for your extreme views.
Where does the racial gender resentment come from? Is it just because they realize that they didn't get what they want and now they want to exert their anger on the world?
And Vance buys into the echo chamber by letting his guard down in the revealing videos to come. Have a listen to some weirdness about living near his mother and raising his son to fight Chinese one day, followed by a cringeworthy laugh. And then I'll show you the over-the-top video that Harris shared.
One of the biggest divides in America is between people who live within like 30 miles of their mother and people who don't live within 30 miles of their mother. But I think most people would actually be healthier and happier. They'd have lower consumption. They'd be healthier and happier if they were within 30 miles of where their mother lives. This is one weird thing that conservatives don't talk about enough, so I'm sorry to go in this direction, but we don't talk enough about the fact that like traditional masculine traits are now actively suppressed from childhood all the way through adulthood. Like my 4-year-old boy, when he plays, what he wants to play is fighting. He wants to fight dragons. He wants to fight bears. He wants to fight monsters. It's kind of weird how uncomfortable that makes people. It's like, well, maybe we should be a little less, violent. Maybe we shouldn't use those words. Maybe the monster's just hungry. But you start to realize there's like this weird cultural suppressant effect over men that I think is extremely dangerous. I mean, look, if the Chinese invade us in 10 years, they're going to be beaten back by boys like Ewan who practice fighting the monsters, who become proud men who defend their homes. They're not going to be defended by the soy boys who want to feed the monsters.
Yeah. It's so true.
Oh, that laugh. And now for the Harris post with video. The post read, unearthed video, JD Vance attacks women who can't have kids because they passed the biological period when it was possible as miserable people who have no real value system and struggle to find meaning. And here's the video that goes beyond damage control.
And I wouldn't say that I have fully developed views on this, but to me what it is sort of a value system to replace the fact that they're all fundamentally atheist or agnostic. They have no real value system. Their only value system is achieve in a very conventional way. And so the idea that somehow they're pursuing racial or gender equity is like the value system that gives their life meaning. Well, of course, they all find that value system leads to misery, leads to unhappiness. And so I think that what happens is like whenever you really pursue something, right? Like let's say a doctor gives you a medicine to cure a disease and it doesn't work, right? The patient gets worse. Well, you can conclude one of two things. Either the medicine isn't working or the patient was so sick that what they need is even more of the medicine that you originally prescribed. And I think the gender inequity stuff is like, we need more of the medicine. Okay, clearly this value set has made me a miserable person who can't have kids because I already, passed the biological period when it was possible. And I live in a 1,200 square foot apartment in New York and I pay $5,000 a month for it. But I'm really better than these other people. What I'm going to do is project my like racial and gender sensitivities on the rest of them. And like the reason that our society is broken is because these people don't think the exact way that I think. Even though the way that I think has made me a miserable person, I just need to make more people think like that. So we're going to teach this in our schools, in our universities, even in our elementary schools, because once everybody agrees with me, then everything will finally come full circle and we'll have a happy, healthy society. I think that's like basically my theory for what's going on.
As you might imagine, the video has produced some very strong reactions. Bill DeMaio said, "You know, this guy has the biggest mommy issues I think I've ever seen, even worse than his running mate, which is impressive." And Metz for Real commented, "Real men show our support for our daughters, wives, mothers, and sisters. Donald Trump's and JD Vance's disdain for all women is on display daily. Real men will vote for Kamala and help the women in their lives move forward." I usually reserve this space for my own commentary, but I cannot say it better than Shiraz, who said, "This kind of rhetoric is not only harmful, but also dehumanizing. Reducing a person's worth to their ability to have children is a dangerous and outdated mindset. Everyone, regardless of their reproductive abilities, has inherent value and deserves respect. Let's focus on building a society that values and supports all individuals rather than tearing them down with cruel words." Dangerous and outdated indeed, and let's give those words an underline and an exclamation point on November 5th and retire JD Vance and Donald Trump to a man cave of Mar-a-Lago once and for all. I'm Dan, thanks for watching, and let's continue to occupy democracy together.